It's the Mighty Pen Podcast.
Welcome back to the Mighty Pen Podcast.
Me Scrabblins.
I'm joined by a very special guest, a la quarantine, Kyle Hester. How you doing, man?
Hey man, I'm doing good. I am doing good. I'm in my backyard. The sun is shining. So,
It's a beautiful day.
Hey, we'll take it.
Yeah, I did just touch base with Kyle and made sure he was okay before the recording started, so we're not being insensitive by not bringing it up. We're both supplied and healthy and just a little bit stir crazy, I'm sure.
That about touches on it. So yeah.
So that's
we're
that.
Good, man.
So tell us a little bit about your work, man.
Well, basically, I've been did the deep dive of independent film a few years ago, and it's like starting with The Chair. With Roddy Piper, I came on to that as an actor and ended up producing it, and I've kind of took myself out of the rat race of auditioning and all that, and so I've just been all in for independent films for the last 4 years, and just keeping on going. So we had Zombie with a Shotgun just came out. It's on Amazon and Tubi now. So, and The Chair's out there, and just working on post production of my film Preacher 6 right now. So we're just grinding along, man, trying to make a splash in this crazy world.
Right. So Lily's my manager. She's probably been in contact with you. And
Lily is awesome, and she is on it, and you tell her that I said so.
He says you're awesome and you're on it. She's sitting in the same room. She says thank you. So the people listening, my people know very well that I'm a space cadet. And what Lily does is she basically just lets me know a bit in advance that I have an interview to do, and she props me up and she puts the microphone in front of my face, and then she tells me when it's time to wrap up at the end. So
right on.
Yeah, it keeps me functioning. This way I can be in my little production fog and still be coherent enough to get out there and promote for other people.
Beautiful thing.
Indie film, and already just from talking to you, I get the impression that we probably have quite a bit in common, but one thing in particular, I'm heading towards the same route you went down with my writing, where I played the game in the beginning. I tried to land an agent. I tried to, I queried everybody. And then I got so annoyed that I was like, well, I could crowdfund stuff and put my own work out to a smaller audience, but more devoted. And I think that I'm getting pigeonholed into the indie community, but not even by choice. It just seems like I'm going to be an indie dude now, So,
you know what? I think that I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that with what's happened with social media, it's kind of like you get to create your own situation. So it's like however much time and energy you put into it. I've been basically, I gave myself a question. It's like, okay, so who is Kyle Hester? And if people don't know who that is, how do I let people know who that is? So I started basically building my Twitter following 6 years ago. So for those who wonder how long it takes to get to build an audience, you started 5 years ago. Or if you're starting now, give yourself 5 years.
Yeah.
Or don't even start, because it's like you have to work at it continually. It becomes a full-time job. It's like, what does a studio do? A studio has a lot of money for advertising. So I don't have any money for advertising. So it's like every bit of it, it's like each tweet, each idea, it's all little commercials, if you look at it like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and you have a huge Twitter following too. What do you at 145K, it looks like. Kyle D. Hester.
KYLED Hester on Twitter.
Go follow him. There you go. There's 3 more, man.
Yeah, right on, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's all good, and it's like, you let people know who you are, and it's like I don't have anything to hide. I'm really transparent with who I am and what I think and all that kind of stuff, and I think that if you're the people that are going to like you are going to like you, and the people that don't are not going to. So I think that being kind of just a genuine person, it's like that. Those are the people that are going to gravitate towards you.
I agree.
So I mean, and the funny thing is, because I do kind of touch on politics every once in a while, and I think that even the people that don't agree with me, stick around and we'll have conversations about things, and it's all good because it's like, because I'm a nice person,
Mhm.
So I think that's all we can do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's so funny because I just got a hair up my ass like 6 months ago that I was going to write a television show. And I'm like, all right, well, what am I going to write about? What do I want to see? What style? What budget will I probably be working with? And then
Yeah.
actually, I start with budget. I go, well, how long do I want it to be? 3 seasons, 10 episodes. And I don't know. I just have this rough idea in my head of what I wanted to do, what I wanted the budget to be. And I started writing the damn thing and I fell in love with it and I thought it was great. And then this coronavirus thing happens. And it echoes so much of what I was already writing in the show that I'm pissed off because people are going to think it's inspired by, and it's not. It's the other way around. The coronavirus was inspired by my manuscript.
You know what, dude? I totally understand exactly what you're saying. It's like life reflects art, art reflects life. I mean, it's like Zombie
Yeah.
with a Shotgun.
Yeah.
Is like there's like the government. It's not,
Hey, can you hear me?
yeah, that was somebody was calling me, so I had to
Oh,
dismiss them.
I will edit that. No worries at all, man. What were you saying?
Okay. Um, So I was just saying that Zombie with a Shotgun is basically just like about the coronavirus. It touches on so many different things. You got like the corporations that like may or may not have something to do with the virus and may or may not have something to do with the cure, and like all this kind of stuff. So it's like, whoa, what just happened? What is
Yeah,
going on?
exactly. And it's funny because it's not even just my main premise or anything like that. It wasn't like a virus per se, but America's situation right now isn't too far from how I start my show off. And it's much worse in the show, but at the same time, I don't know, man. It's kind of soured me. I still think it's brilliant. I think I've captured the American spirit. I think it's freaking hilarious. This isn't an ad for my show, but I will say that I think it's worth pursuing because it's so fucking hilarious. After this call, I'm gonna have Lily get with you, and we're gonna kind of run something by you, and maybe you can I'll put a bug in your ear, and maybe
Cool.
you can point me in the right direction on how to shop this thing around. We had somebody nibbling, and I think they moved on. Either that, or I don't think they're in a position to do anything right now. Obviously.
You know what? I will help in any way that I can. I think we're kind of in the Wild West, and I'm not sure exactly, with the TV shows. I mean, also keep in mind, like, can you make it into a film?
Right. I probably could. I have an idea though. This is it's a tragic comedy, and I do want canned laughter in there. And this is going to be very, very odd. It's kind of in the vein of like IT Crowd meets Last Man on Earth in a way,
Nice.
and that's 3 seasons. And I'm emphatic on I want it to end there forever. I don't care if this thing was the new Walking Dead. I don't want to do a fourth season ever. I think that's a big mistake a lot of companies make is if you have a hit, the tendency is to make the sequel. And
Right.
if you're an indie company, you don't have to do that. So if anything, I think you should focus your marketing on you, the person or the company, putting out great stuff. Hey, you liked that last one? Like, that's why I like when they say from the makers of Gladiator comes, I'm like, oh, I liked Gladiator. Cool. What's up?
Yeah.
Versus, oh, you liked Ghostbusters 1 through 7, So I think indies have an advantage in that way where you can actually take chances on like wild stories and stuff,
I think so. I think you control it all, and I think you're right. It's about the people, and so just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Keep building yourself as the thing, and then like the films or the TV shows become the vessels for you to express yourself.
I think that's well put. Where do you see yourself in like 5 years, man? Here's a job interview. But where do you see
Well,
everything going with your your business and stuff?
well, in 5 years, I would like to have like 4 more films out.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this is just like keeping the train on the tracks,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm all in.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what's happening, and we have like a lot of different stuffs, like you were saying, different genre type films. So it's
Yeah.
like a lot of people ask me, so hey, are you like a horror guy because you've done like some horror films, and
Mm-hmm.
actually I'm not. That just kind of like is what happened, like I got The Chair, and then did Zombie, and Preacher 6 is like an action thing. It's got some horror elements, but it's like I never saw myself as like a horror film guy. Our next film is a modern Western. So yeah, I think we just try to keep putting good stuff out there.
Yeah. And horror is like a good, like, kind of, I don't want to say starter genre. You know what works and you know what doesn't. And if you want to play it safe, you can make something decent. You can Tom Petty it, as I call
Well,
it.
here's
where
the
you
thing.
make something decent,
Yeah, horror has a huge audience.
Right.
So it's a good way to get attention because it's got a built-in audience. It's like, like if I started with, a modern Western, that it's like, where is that modern Western audience? Like, that has a hashtag, hey, hashtag modern Western, ka-chow. They don't have that. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to tap into something that's already got something there. And I think that's why, horror is it's a good place to kind of like put your name out there.
Yeah, I think I'm always going to have my roots in horror, but I find that I'm a lot more effective when my horror elements pop up in my non-horror stories. Like, if I'm just telling like a tragic comedy or something like a dark comedy, right? I can get extremely dark in a part, where I can use my horror roots to really elicit that either that fear or that discomfort response, But then if I bring it back up real light, the audience seems to be like appreciative of bringing them back up out of that. So a lot of times I think if you start off like with a comedy and you want to dip down into the dark waters here and there, that's what we love about The Princess Bride, right? Like The Princess Bride is really dark, in many places, it's nasty. It can even be considered gory if you reshot it with modern techniques.
Yeah.
So, but we love it because, it's overall, it's lighthearted, it's fun, it's goofy, but it got dark in those spots. And I think those low troughs, if you can get like a big distance between the highs and the lows, I think that's your emotional response at the end, the overall package. So,
I think that's a beautiful thing. I think
yeah.
there's different ways to mix it up and keep people guessing. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So, what kind of stories do you want to tell in the future? What genres do you want to, what waters do you want to wade in the next projects?
Well, let's see. We have the modern Western is next, and then we have a futuristic sci-fi that we have, Blade Runner-esque kind of stuff.
How are you going to tackle budget for sci-fi? Because sci-fi seems like a budget nightmare for me.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, I happen to be able to, I'm a carpenter and I've built a bunch of sets. So it's like, so I am able to kind of put sweat, equity into things. So basically, like as we're making the project, my wife is a screenwriter, and so I could basically talk to her and go, okay, this we can do, this we can't do. Let's make this, that, and so we work together on that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And so we'll just like make something that we know that we can do, and if we can't do it, we're gonna like helicopter's got to go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, like that kind of thing. So kind of fit the project to what you're capable of doing.
Yeah. I was really influenced by like fantasy, sci-fi, horror, especially in the 80s for whatever reason. Probably because my age. But even now, as I watch movies from all decades, I'm still just sucked into 80s movies, it seems, even more.
Well, you know what? Because here's the thing. In the 80s, basically, the government was helping to fund films because
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's how you had all these awesome films with different genres, and people took risks and all that kind of stuff, was because the government was basically guaranteeing loans for the people that would invest in films.
Oh.
So, and that doesn't exist anymore, but that's like, if there's anything that Reagan did that was good, that was it.
I have a good question for you finally.
All right, then.
Have you ever pushed a passion project through that you almost knew wasn't economically viable?
I think that I will take risks like that when I have money to do it. Like when I can write the check myself, then I'll do that. But it's like with crowdfunding and and stuff like that, which is how all these films that I've done over the past few years have been made. Like The Chair, with that's actually based on a graphic novel as well. Peter Simeti, and so that was crowdfunded and some investors, but same with Zombie with a Shotgun. I mean, it's like basically the fans are driving these films because people want to see new stuff, creative things. It's like there's so much talent out there that never gets to see the light of day just because they are relying on that break, that
Amen.
chance. Like somebody's gonna write the check, somebody's gonna see how talented I am and just like cut a check and make it happen, and that rarely happens. So it's like, so as an artist, it's kind of like you go, okay, well, I went to film school, or I went to art school, and this is like what I do. So how am I gonna make a run at this without relying on working at a studio and then one day having the chance to direct something. And so I think that I mean, everyone's got a different way to do it, but this is what I'm doing, and one day, the films will be out there and make the money back, and I'll be able to make another film because that film made money. So that's
Makes
the whole
sense.
goal.
Makes sense, man. Well, I like your attitude for sure. I'll tell you that. You definitely have a positive attitude. And, to those listening, we know it's crazy right now. We know people are nervous. We know there's anxiety. I'm sure both you and I are having it even. It's not like we're concealing anything. It's just, what are you guys going to do? You got to keep the show must go on, right? So we have to stay working. We have to stay busy. And if anything, I think guys like you and I are lucky in the way that we have creative endeavors to occupy our minds during quarantine,
Yeah.
So if anything, we're probably better off than most. So,
well, I think that I think we're all kind of in it together. So, we may as well talk about things that make us happy.
why not?
So,
right. And now, so for the people listening that are stuck in quarantine, everybody's watched everything on their Netflix, Hulu's, everything else. What are you currently watching? What do you recommend? For the right mood. Now, there's great movies, but they may not be great for quarantine. You understand? What's a good film for if you've been stuck inside for 2 weeks, you're going stir crazy, you're agitated? What would you recommend people watch? Would you recommend they watch high energy, actiony stuff to kind of vent in that way, or would you put them in more of a calm, relaxing?
It's funny. Okay. There's two ways to go. I find myself watching old war movies. So, I mean, which is exactly the opposite of what you would think. Like, my wife is, watching the comedies and, those things that are like uplifting, and which I totally get, but it's like, and I find myself like, all right, I'm scrolling through, Amazon or whatever, and I'm finding myself watching like 70s and 50s World War II movies. So I don't know, man, but it's like, so I don't know, maybe people do want to see a horror, or like watch something on binge watch all the MMA that they missed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know if we should be calm or charging ourselves up with entertainment. But...
So I think it's just it's like whatever like either makes you calm or lets you be able to vent that energy. And if sometimes so I guess just if the mood strikes,
Right. I think old war films would be like oddly comforting for some reason. I don't know why. Like, are you talking like black and white, like Sergeant York shit?
Both.
Okay.
It's funny because I've kind of found myself going down the rabbit hole of like watching even like Russian World War II movies against the Germans. It's like, I don't know how it happened, but it's like, all right, I guess this is the channel that I'm on right now. You know what I mean?
You know what I think it is? You know what I think you're tapping into? Is the men in those films were so stoic and like just like classic man, like kind of like that Daniel Day-Lewis There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, I love that movie. I love that movie.
Tougher than. By the way, that's on Netflix now. You guys should watch it along with The Shawshank Redemption, which Lily has not seen. The Shawshank Redemption, and
that's a good one.
It's just crazy. So we got to watch that.
What about No Country for Old Men?
That's one of my favorite films of all time, and it did inspire a bit of this comic that I was writing. And the funny thing about it is there's no payoff in that either. And that's where do you draw the line there in your work, man? How do you not make films for film buffs? And how do you make films for the guy at the bar to still enjoy? You know what I mean? So like,
well, you know what? I think, and that's the thing with doing like the low budget stuff and like just making it happen, is that you get to make a film for the audience that you know is the audience for that film,
Mm.
and you get to like do it, do it all the way, so that you're not like when you're pitching stuff to other people, it's like, and then you have to answer, well, we don't think that this is good, and for this reason, and then can I use bad language?
Of course.
All right. And then you would get to say, well, you can go fuck yourself because
Right.
this is what this is.
Right.
Right. So, but so when you're asking for like big money from something, then it's like it's difficult to do that.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's the challenge. And I mean, the thing is like The Chair is a super dark film.
Yeah.
So it's like you either like it, or you're like, whoa, I had to cut out at 20 minutes.
Right.
And that happens, so it's like there are certain things. It's this audience is just for those people that like twisted shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's kind of it. So it's like Zombie with a Shotgun. It's like it either gets like 4 or 5 stars, or people hate it, and it gets like a 1 star. And it's just because you just never know like what people watch things for different reasons. So it's like if you go watch Zombie with a Shotgun expecting like chainsaws to be ripping doors down with zombies clawing through the walls, you're not going to like the film.
Yeah.
Because it's a cerebral kind of thing. It's like an introspective kind of artistic piece. And people love it for that. But it's like if you go in expecting Day of the Dead, you're gonna waste of time.
Right.
Right. It's like, all right, well, go watch Day of the Dead. You see like a title, and you go, oh, I'm gonna watch a zombie flick, and then they're either gonna get it or they're gonna be expecting something else. It's like people have said like, I was expecting a comedy because it was Zombie with a Shotgun. That sounds funny, and it wasn't, so it sucked.
Right.
It's like, all right, well, that's brilliant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And it's funny because like this is reassuring to me because I'm halfway through writing the sequel of Unkillable Joe, and some of the choices I'm making, I'm wondering if they're for me or for the reader. Like, do I enjoy this or does the reader? And I'm starting to be of the opinion that I should make shit that I like, and that's it. And
right.
just worry
like,
about
okay, when Quentin Tarantino was making Reservoir Dogs, do you think he was thinking, are people going to like this?
No, I don't think he was thinking that.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Good point.
Make the movie that you want to make.
Ooh, yeah. Well, dude, you just helped me out. Okay, this is per Kyle. All right. Make an idea that you love personally. Then once you have that down, figure out your target audience, who you're going to target this for. Then I would recommend you try to think of some sort of budget constraints. It's good to kind of hone in on what you're trying to do. And then above all, make the film, make the book, make the song, make whatever you make the thing that you wanted as the fan. And then from there, I think it can be marketable. Great advice. And we're going to have a Kyle Hester day tomorrow. We're going to go watch all your crap. So,
all right.
So where can people find
your work?
You too
can leave either a 5-star or a 1-star at your discretion.
Oh, it'll be 5s. I leave 5s for all my friends. And then if I didn't like it, I call them and yell at them.
Right on, man. I dig it.
Yeah, like if I don't like something of yours, the only person that will ever know that will be you and in private company. I think it's okay to critique your friends, but only when it's invited, because sometimes you could sweep their legs out from under them and hurt their momentum.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like Hilton, who is the creator of Zombie with a Shotgun. We talked about this before the film got released. And it's like we knew that, like, get ready, because it's like we did not know how people were going to accept, how people were going to take the film,
Right.
And so it's like if you go in like that, because it's definitely different. I mean, there's animation in there. There's like, there's stuff like that it's kind of trippy,
Nice.
So it's like, so how are people going to take it? We don't know, but just be ready for the people to like it and be ready for people to hate it. So, and going in with that, it was like, okay, cool, and I try not to get into it with people's opinions, because everyone has one. Everyone's, your opinion is your own opinion, so it's fine. But I can see that if you don't have the kind of mental fortitude to be able to deal with that, then certainly it could be problematic, because then you start to doubt your own creative vision.
Oh, dude, let me tell you, it is problematic because I suffer from that. And my
Yeah.
first 3 years trying to break into the industry, I went around burning bridges because I was offended by rejection and I
Mhm.
couldn't handle it. I took it personally rather than, what you should do is be like, oh, well, I appreciate your consideration. Would you be open to me sending you future projects to check out? So that's where Lily came in to manage me and to insulate me. Sometimes you need a buffer, And
Definitely. No,
yeah, she put my press kit together. She calls people, and if I get a rejection, I don't hear about it now. So it's like, well, I don't get pissed. There you go. So I'm an immature man baby. I know that, and so I've just gotten myself a handler.
Right on, man. Own it. Yeah, because the thing is like the creative types, like basically being an artist, you are tapped into the right side of your brain, which is all about like feelings, emotions, and colors and sounds and all that kind of stuff. So it's not analytical,
Right.
So like artists are going to be the caretakers of art, and have all those feelings because it's like in order to like as an actor, it's like in order to be an actor, you have to be able to feel things.
Right.
So that means that actors are generally more sensitive, which is why you see people, that are all about like, whatever their passions are, and expressing that. So that's why you'll see actors doing a lot of that because it's just kind of the nature of being an artist. So
Exactly.
it's good to have a buffer.
It's great to have a buffer. It's been really helping me out big time. And then I'm so weird. I'm in my storylines all day anyway. So
Right on.
yeah,
I
I'm
hear that.
purely fiction. That's my whole world.
There's
So
enough reality going on.
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what. So anyway, you're a great guy. I'm glad we got to have this talk.
So likewise.
Where can people find your work, man? Where can they go support you? The whole nine. Call to action.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at Kyle D. Hester, which you had spelled earlier. And Preacher6, you can find at Preacher6. It's all one word. And if you, especially in this time, it's like if you want to support my Patreon, just go to Patreon.com/Kyle Hester Actor Guy. And for $3, you can get like all kinds of behind the scenes and stuff like that, and it does help a lot.
Yeah,
So,
and it's a cool page too. That's how we met. We met on Twitter, and I think we spoke about our mutual Patreons, patrons, Patreon accounts, and that's how we met from there. So yeah, very cool page. Go support them on Patreon. Go watch Zombie with a Shotgun. And
Zombie with a Shotgun.
Yeah, man. So anyway, we're gonna watch your stuff tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming on. Stay in touch during this quarantine, man. This is crazy. It might be another month or two, they're saying. So,
yeah. Batten down the hatches.
Yes, sir. But anyway, and if you have any film recommendations or anything like that, send them my way. I will probably watch them.
Okay, cool. I will give it a think.
All right, brother. Don't go away. I want to say a proper goodbye, but I'll do my wrap up now.
All right.
Everybody listening, if you are a creator, as always, I want you guys to put your links to your work and your social medias in the comments, especially my YouTube channel that's growing at the speed of smell, but it is growing. You can find us, Lily and I, at
twitch.tv/The Mighty Pen Podcast.
Just to touch base, guys. We haven't even figured out what we want to do on that show yet. But we're going on there a few times a week just to say hi. You can find me
at Joe Valen Writer
everywhere. Lily
at just Lily Aurora
everywhere. And go support our friend Kyle Hester, filmmaker, all around gentleman. And we'll catch you guys next time on the Mighty Pen Podcast. The Mighty Pen.